A new day, a new John. He waited outside his local buttload store for it to open, eager to spend his promotion bonus on stuff. The best way to impress women. If it was buttloads of stuff John wanted, then he would need buttloads of cash. Suddenly it occurred to John that he was going to make a lot of choices, and every one of those choices would tell the world who he was. Delicious. Also delicious. How could John decide? Just so Moorish. Maybe one more. That's enough, John thought. It wasn't. What would a date think when they sat in John's home? Comfort or style? John went with comfort. Plus, it matched the couch he already had. John weighed up all the differences, but this was a tough choice. John chose the extremely, obviously bad TV. John realized that it was only 2 months and 29 days until the reunion. Time flies. Cactus or rose? Was John a rugged hero or a romantic poet? John had killed every plant he'd ever owned. This one would be a challenge. There was nothing John could take with him to the grave. Except his coffin. Death is inevitable. Style is not. John liked to get his pizza delivered. That way he could see Delilah, the delivery peen. She always made him smile. John knew that Delilah thought pineapple on pizza was an abomination. What bedding would Delilah prefer? John couldn't help wondering. Regular sheets, just like the regular pizzas he regularly ordered. Devoid of any sense of style, buying new clothes would be John's toughest challenge. John decided to go with the outfit. Music, the food of love. Should John go retro sophisticated or just retro? John's personal nostalgia was more important than sound quality. Every can was made of metal, pulled from the bones of the earth, wrestled to the surface and smelted in roaring furnaces. All so John could buy peas preserved in salty water and stick them up his butt. John's new purchases were on the way to his apartment. All he had to do was invite a date over. One look at all his stuff and they'd be overwhelmed with sexual desire. John felt proud and also hungry. It gave him an idea. He should invite Delilah over for dinner. John was excited. Delilah was on her way. He just needed to set the mood to romance. John hoped she didn't have allergies.
呢個啊。music 啲錄音帶啊。點啊？點玩啊？依家乜 can 我唔識，呢個
Classy.
用個屎忽去對，用屎忽點蠟燭。跟住咧，music 佢要點啊
？That must be Delilah at the door. The door opened and there was Delilah. John gulped down his nerves and invited her in. John could tell that Delilah was impressed by his stuff. It was time to crank up the mood to seduction.
跟住咧，但係我食唔到塊 pizza。佢冇人知道嘅咩？我塊邊係咩？即係點嚟？跟住俾錢佢。
John wanted to offer Delilah wine, but he'd already popped his cork. Delilah started looking as nervous as John felt. He assumed it was because she was shy too. They really were compatible. Of course, at the reunion, he couldn't mention Delilah was a delivery peen. That would be embarrassing. Delilah suddenly headed for the door. And just like that, John was alone again. Delilah hadn't even looked at his stuff. The rejection burned. John felt insignificant. He had everything he wanted. The job, the money, the stuff. So much stuff. He wanted to destroy all of it. Shove it into the abyss. His stuff didn't matter. He was a shaft in the machine. A lonely piston pumping away like all the others in his rigid place. Nothing special about him. Why should Delilah or Barbara or any other peen be interested in dating him? He was just like everyone else and they could tell. John wanted to be special, but he had to face the numb truth. He wasn't. And all the money and stuff he'd ever accumulate wouldn't change that. He thought it would make him unique, but it just made him more like everyone else. He should leave it all. Get out of this little town and go on an adventure. See the world. Take that, TV. He was a boring corporate drone, but he didn't have to be. He could be a traveler, exploring jungles and climbing mountains. He could visit the wonders of the world and get his picture taken. Your dead technology tapes. Like Peony Island, the unspoiled paradise he'd seen on TV. That was it. John had to travel. Bags packed, John was ready to put 5,000 miles between him and his problems. He was leaving it all behind. Including his luggage. John was so close, he could almost smell the freedom of the skies. Security sent John back through the detector. John had forgotten he had his nail clippers with him. He'd have to buy another pair soon, or he'd look ridiculous. When the acceleration of takeoff had slackened, John felt a sweet relief. He had left his worries on the runway. He was up in the clouds, on his way to adventure. John's adventure had begun at last, and clearly it was a small world after all, and also a flat one. That was going to piss off the globeheads. John was having fun, but something told him he needed to go home. Probably his empty bank account. John was on his way back home. He was out of money, but money can't buy love. What it can buy are the experiences that had made John a more interesting and developed person, with 100 Buttstagram photos to prove it. Finally, everything was going smoothly. John felt good to be back on the familiar ground of home, but he would feel better to be on the familiar mattress of home. That's not John's bag. Despite John's swell of fresh optimism, traveling was exhausting, and he just really wanted to get home and get some sleep.
打死佢。好啦，我決定要 D game 啦，玩完差唔多啦，應該要 D game 㗎啦，呢隻 game 可以。我完全唔知自己做緊啲咩，應該 D game。Thick face 仲係呢個
Another nightmare. John's stress about getting a date for the reunion was making him think of her. Harmony. He hadn't seen her in years. Would she be at the reunion? John shook off the thought. He wasn't a child. He was a fully grown penis.
哇唔得，好撚戇鳩，38蚊嘅雪，但我已經想跌嘅。
John's butt started to buzz. Had he left a vibrator up there? Whatever it was, he should get it out.
放棄啦，屌唔玩。
John's old phone. They really were indestructible. It was Sam calling. He wanted to check in on John. The travel looked fun, but it was...
好撚悶啊！好撚鳩啊！你其實係我頂唔順啦，唔玩啦。